Hi, my name is Erica Roberts, and I am a certified life and ministry coach. And I am so excited to share today with Pearl.
Hi, everybody. This is Pearl Sharenza with Women Successful Living, and we're so excited to have you here today as we become self-care sheroes on another episode of Conversations with Pearl. And today I am so excited. I met our next guest through a summit that I'll be speaking on January 7th. So it'll probably be before you guys hear this, but I met Coach Erica Roberts there, and she is a woman who's doing the work. She's a certified ministry and life coach who is purposed to building kingdom families. Coach Erica has completed the Prepare Enrich Certification, where she coaches dating couples, engaged couples, and married couples who are working to restore their marriage. And we all know that during our relationships, there's always room for improvement. And so that's what she's doing. And she is also the founder of His Image Coaching, where she is a certified and qualified to help you do the work. She's going to put you to work if you're listening. She's anointed, intercessor, and a loyal servant. She's a believer and a faith warrior. Erica is married and to the love of her life for over 30 years. Yay. She's a loving mother of 7, 6 sons. Oh my gosh. 1 daughter and a grandmother to 6. And I can't wait to hear what it's like to be a grandmother. She's also an author, a blogger, an empowerment speaker, and your ride or live friend. She's certified, but God is always glorified in everything she does. And so, Erica, I'm so excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited,
Yay, it's so awesome. All right, so wait a minute. So I know I've gotten to know you a little bit, so our listeners are going to have to walk through this, but we met through, we're going to be talking on this Kingdom Summit on January 7th, but I remember when I first met you, and there's not very many of us that have been married over 30 years, right? Or 20, marriage these days, it's a really long, it's I don't know. I think it's different than when I grew up. Not too many people, if things go wrong, they're like, I check out quickly, right? And you and I both know in talking, it's a lot of work. And I love your story. So would like to go back to when you were little and a little bit about, tell the listeners about growing up and what you asked God for to bring you in your life.
Okay, a lot of people think it's funny, but I can remember I wanted to be married since I was 5 years old. I remember sitting on the front porch, really didn't know who God was, but I was just having a conversation. And I told God that I wanted my own husband. I wanted someone to love me, my own family. I wanted a house. I remember just like it's today saying it. I wanted a house, white picket fence. I wanted 2 cars, matching cars. And I just wanted somebody to love me at the age of 5.
And what's so powerful when I remember hearing that, I'm like, wow, at the age of 5, Erica knew she was learning already so young about manifestation, about, believing in what we're due to receive. That's already planned for us. I mean, my listeners know, and they've heard me say before that, we come into this world, God's already got the plan. He's already set out our life for us. We just have to listen. And if you're not listening, you're cheating yourself, but you're also cheating me and those around you to receive your gifts you have. And so at 5 years old, Erica, what was going on in your life that you sat and said, this is what I want?
Well, a lot of people know my mother had me at the age of 14. So I was pretty much raised by my grandmother, which is her mother. And for my whole childhood, my mom was on drugs. And I used to watch her mess around with all of my friends' fathers. We lived on this circle, on this dirt road was a dead end. And I used to see them come pick her up, drop her off. And during the holiday times, I was like, she was always sad. And I was like, and I asked my grandma, I said, Mom is always sad. But I came to the realization she didn't have a husband. She didn't have a man. And all of those men that she was going with, they had families that they had to spend their times with during the holiday times. And so I was like, I don't want that. And it's funny now, but like you say, when we're born into this world, everything that we need is already inside of us. And to know and to hear God's voice at a such young age, that's, when you have to tap into your purpose. And I was like, even back then, God was telling me to speak the things that I want. It's a lot of times we think on it, but when we speak it and put it out into the atmosphere, the attraction will attach to us. So making that decree at the age of 5 and knowing that what I saw was not purposeful. And so when I met my husband at 17, I was going to see a friend and I met him, and it was just like God said that will be your husband. I'm like, at 17, God, you telling me I'm going to be a wife? But to look back over, our paths was meant to cross. And it was just because my grandmother, of course, had been married, but she had been separated from her husband for 19 years. That's not marriage. That's not relationship. So I began to do the work.
So we have a little bit in common. So, I grew up in a household, and like you were saying, you were so young having to, your grandmother was raising you, but you were also having to learn things on your own because it's, I'm sure your grandma had a lot on her plate as well. And then the other thing was like to watch your mom trying to fill a void, that void of love that she was so desiring, and that family and that partner, you, when you so young saw that that's not what a partner is about, right? And you started asking and praying and knowing that, God's got a plan. And I think it's interesting you said 17. I know we were on a live yesterday with Facebook with Sabrina, and we were both talking about how long we've been married. You're 30, right? I think you said 30. And I'm
30,
I'm 35. And so, but what's interesting is you met your husband at 17. I met mine at 19. And
oh my goodness.
yes. And the funny story is we were at a company picnic. We were at Knott's Berry Farm in California. And that was back when breakdancing was in, and I loved to dance. And I used to be able to do the moonwalk and all that. I used to love dancing.
Yes.
And so when I met my husband, there was like an outdoor dance stage at the park. And so he's out there dancing and he looks like he's doing the Running Man, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, let me go save this guy. And we thought like they were with 2 other girls. So we thought they were with those ladies. So we were like, oh, we'll just hang out with these guys. Well, all of a sudden those ladies are gone. And so then we end up in the parking lot and the 4 of us are talking. It's my roommate and his roommate and Chuck and I. And we're talking, and all of a sudden there's only our 2 cars in a parking lot. And all of a sudden they're about to tow his car away. And I'm like, he goes, I gotta go. I'm like, okay, see you later. I was like, nice to meet you, And so we're walking to the car, and my girlfriend said, who was my roommate at the time too, she's like, you're going to marry him. I'm like, are you kidding me, Marilyn? I'm like, he doesn't have my number. I just met him. She goes, I'm telling you, you're going to marry him. He has our number. I gave his roommate our number. I'm like, oh my gosh. And literally that was August. And by December, we were doing we were living together at the time, and we got engaged like we were engaged by the end of December, I think it was. So it was pretty quick too, but I knew, like you said, like you just know, right? And people ask me, and I'm sure you get asked this question. I'd love to hear what you think. How do you do it? How do you make it last so long? Like what's so different? What makes it, I'm struggling in my marriage. And so for the listeners, like I know for me, it's been communication. It's been respect. It's been understanding that we each have, dreams and goals that may be separate from each other, but together, when we're strong together, we can both achieve what our dreams and goals are. And then be supportive, is what I tell my friends. And, the big thing is listening, just listening and being there. So what about you? What do you think some of the things and I know you coach on this too. So share with our listeners, like in your own personal life and then in your coaching, how do you walk some of the couples through that?
Like you said, the main thing is communication. You have to know how to talk to each other, even in the times where you don't understand each other. You have to allow your spouse to be heard. Allow them to communicate how they're feeling. It's okay if you don't agree, but you gotta let them get it out, because if they don't, then that leaves room for the enemy for them to go out and have a conversation with someone else. So you have to be in position a lot of times. And for myself, a lot of times I just have to be quiet and allow him to express how he's feeling. And while he's talking, not to be thinking of a comeback, but I need to have empathy for him, to know that it's hard for men, and really it's hard for them to sometimes explain how they truly feel without being judged. And within these 30 years, I had to learn to forgive. Forgiveness is everything. Forgiveness, not being able to forgive, can destroy something that's not intended to be destroyed. a lot of times, like I tell other couples or other people just I'm having a genuine conversation with, I can never tell someone to leave their spouse because what's your breaking point is not my breaking point. We all have different spouses. So I have to be the wife that my husband needs. You be the wife that your husband needs. Those are two different men that has two different sets of needs. So of course, yeah, we might have mentors and everything, but you take out what you need and what you may not need, put it on the shelf for later because I guarantee you're going to need it. So with conversation, forgiveness, trust, and the main thing that you said is respect. You got to respect your spouse and they got to respect you. Because if an individual do not have respect, then that's when the depression can come in. That's when the self-doubt can come in. That's when, you break down and you don't communicate. So if I say my spouse is my best friend, then I got to be his best friend or her best friend. We take that, best friend or that spouse, we don't take those vows. And that's why, I teach about going back to the foundation. First of all, before you love someone else, you have to love yourself. In order to give love, you got to know how to receive love. And that starts by with your first love should always be God, the creator. If you have a complete relationship with the creator, then you can be in position to give to your spouse and to your family. You just got to go back communication, forgiveness, trust, and respect. If you have those right there, and no, we're not going to do it all the time. It's not going to be perfect. But with anything you do, it takes work. Sometimes we reevaluate our relationship. We make a list. I'll be like, okay, here go you a sheet of paper, here go me a sheet of paper. And I've seen this on a Tyler Perry movie. You write down the good on one side, you write down the bad on one side, and we have a conversation. And it's not always at home. Sometimes we go to dinner because guess what? You ain't going to leave me in the restaurant. You're not going to get loud on me. So if you go sometime in a public place and have a conversation, that way there is some boundaries that you shouldn't cross in a public setting. And you just lay it all out. And instead of thinking of a comeback, you sit there and you actively listen.
I love that too, but you said actively listen because I think that's something a lot of marriages lack because they don't listen. Mm-hmm. It's not that it's not that I don't love you. Mm-hmm. I just don't like what you're doing right now, right? Or mm-hmm. I don't like this that's happening, And I was sharing yesterday in the live where Chuck and I are always big about, it may not even be the right time to have that mm-hmm. conversation. So talking mm-hmm. about, are you open to receiving how I'm feeling right now or something I want to mm-hmm. speak to you about, right? And so it's really, it's important to have that, like you said too, that the right timing, because, if somebody mm-hmm. comes home and they're having a bad day, it's not always the right timing to be like, I need to talk to you about, this is bothering mm-hmm. me or a big mm-hmm. decision even that has to be made. Right. And so mm-hmm. I love too, that you said like, find a public place. Cause then mm-hmm. it kind of, like you said, sets the boundaries as well. Mm-hmm. And, I remember my son, Matthew, who used to always talk about, he would see me go out with my friends mm-hmm. and he would say to my husband, I don't understand how you let mom go out. And I'm like, wait a minute. Let's start an early lesson for you right now. Dad is not letting me do something. I don't mm-hmm. need permission to do something. He has mm-hmm. trust in me that I'm going to go out and do the right thing, mm-hmm. and I shared with him that early on in our marriage, I was working at a collection agency and it was tough work. I mean, it was not fun work at all. And usually on Fridays we'd go out maybe, for happy hour or something. We might have a drink or two. And I would go out and I told my son, I'd go, he's like, Dad let you. I'm like, it wasn't about letting, it was about trusting that I'm going to go out. I'm not going to do anything mm-hmm. I'm not supposed to do. Because really, like I told him, I said, if I'm committed to your dad, and I'm married to him, why would mm-hmm. I want to go out and, have something on the side why be married then? That's how I looked at it. I told him and he started understanding that. I was like, okay, I get it. And he watched, and I shared the story of my parents. They were married over 42 years and they divorced after 42 years of marriage. And really it was communication, lack of trust. And my dad, and my dad wasn't faithful and, he knows that I don't know that he knows that I know it, but I know it. I saw it, we're kids. We see those things, right? And my example of communication was growing up where if my parents got an argument, they didn't talk for 2 weeks. Like they had no communication and all of a sudden everything was hunky dory fine. And you're like going, how'd that happen? Right. There was no example of that communication, So I love that you share that too, because communication, the trust, is so, so important. And so when you're working with couples and you see that they struggle with that, let me ask you this. When you work with couples, what is the biggest thing that you come across? If you were to say your top 3 things that you see couples struggle with, what would you say those are?
Finances, sex, and communication. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking you might say that. So when it comes to finances, I think, I don't know, back when I got married, we shared, we have shared checking accounts and everything. But now it's like I have so many friends like, he doesn't know my money. I'm like, why then why because to me, like, even with when I coach with my moms, I tell them, they'll say I'm a stay-at-home. I'm like, no, you are not a stay-at-home mom, you are a CEO mom, because you're running a business of a house. You're not sitting around eating bonbons all day and just in the bathtub. You're doing laundry, you're getting the kids around, you're making sure hopefully you're making, you're part of the finance decisions. There's all those things that you're doing that is like running a business. And so I get confused when I hear about, couples saying, well, we have separate bank accounts. I'm like, well, you're a business. You're a joint business. It's a joint business venture. I never understand that. So have you had any thought on that? And what are you see couples struggle with that?
They do. And I asked the question, it's a trust issue. Why don't you trust your spouse enough to handle the finances? And of course, both of you may not be strong at doing it. So you will have a joint account, and whoever is the strongest in the finances will be the one to keep up with the balances. But then again, that's a place where you got to have a conversation. Before going into marriage, you should make these decisions, of not what of our roles are, but what are your expectations? What do you expect from me, and what do I expect from you? Because like my husband, even when we was dating, for some reason, he was like, here go my paycheck, go deposit my check. And I'm looking like, this boy is crazy, because he really don't know me. But he said, Erica, he said, I trust you. I trust you to do what's right for the family. So therefore, I'm over the finances. He makes the money, he put it in. He don't care what's in there, but I still share with him to let him know what's going on, because he's the head of the household. And if anything should happen to me, he would know what to do. He won't be looking so dumbfounded. But like I tell couples, you need to have a conversation. What is the expectations of each person that's going to benefit your household? Not saying that I don't trust him with it's not my money, it's not his money, it's our money, because it's for the family. And so, when you have those decisions about, because money can destroy any relationship, whether it's not having enough or you have more than enough and you don't know what to do with it. Because sometimes when we have more than enough, we blow money. So if you don't know how to budget, couples, I tell them, how do you budget? How do you plan what you're going to do? What is your 2-year goal? Don't give me a 5-year goal, because you're trying to think too much. We'll start off with 1 year. Then their homework assignment is come back with a 2-year plan. I don't care if you break it up every 3 months, you break it up every 6 months, but sit down. That calls for you to have a conversation. Then, a lot of families, because I work full time, I'm a financial service officer. I've been in banking for the last 5 years. And I noticed people don't have the simple things as a beneficiary on their accounts. So if someone passes away, then your family has to go to probate court, try to get those funds. And then most people, 8 out of 10, don't even do that. They just be whatever. So guess what? At the end of the year, we have to give that money to the government. And it's the simple thing is, who's going to be your beneficiary? Do you have a living will? Do you have a will? These are the things that couples need to have a conversation about. A lot of times, these day and time, what I'm noticing, the only thing people's thinking about is a prenup. They're being selfish. So when you come into a relationship, you got to take the selfishness out of it. It's no longer I, but it's we. Conversation, goals. That's what every couple I tell, that's what we need to start out by. Before you even thinking about walking down that aisle. Because sometimes it's not beneficial for you to spend all that money on a wedding. You might just want to go to the justice of the peace or the courthouse, have your nice little courthouse wedding or reception, and plan to buy your home.
I love that. I'm glad. I'm so excited you shared that too about, the prenup too. That always blows my, and I understand in certain situations you need to have it, right? There are situations you need to have it. But it's just like you said, the selfishness of part of that too. And then, when I got married, when Chuck and I got married, we're Catholic, and we had to do, I forget what they called it now. I'm completely drawing a blank, but it was like pre-marriage, like sessions. And we actually went, excuse me, we actually went for a weekend away. And they had you talk about the women were on one side of the house and the men were on the other side. And every day we had to work on different things, and they would bring up subjects we had to go out and talk about. And one of the subjects was like finances and family, right? Like, how many kids do you want to have? And Chuck and I always joke about, he's like, oh, I want to have 12 kids. And I was like, okay, well, I'll have 2. You can have the rest. We'll make money, right? I just kind of joked about it. But people walked out of that weekend not getting married because they realized, oh, he doesn't want a family, or finance, that situation. And I think that those are conversations that I feel a lot of couples are not having before they get married, because they're either afraid to have it, or they don't know to have it, and I think it's great that somebody like you can help coach couples through that, to be like, here's a guidance, let me guide you through this, and not, you're not giving them the answers, you're helping them find the answers and helping them learn to communicate, which I think is really powerful that you do. And so when you got married, how old were you again when you got married?
I was 20. I got married at 22.
Okay. So, and that back then at 22, did you do any kind of coaching or like pre-coaching stuff before you got married? Yeah.
I didn't have all of that. It was actually until we joined the ministry that we're in. And actually that's how we joined the ministry we was in. They was having a marriage enrichment on a Monday night. And the pastors were so transparent and so honest about relationships. And I was sitting there and I was like, these people are telling their business, but they was telling their business so that we knew as couples that we wasn't the only one going through this, that if they can go through it, and a lot of times the church don't want to go to therapy. They think church is therapy. No, you got to go outside the walls and you go to a therapist. The church will handle the spiritual side and the therapist will handle the natural side. And a lot of times, a lot of people don't think that they need therapy. They think you got to be crazy. No, you don't have to be crazy to go sit on somebody's couch and have a conversation. Because actually, my first therapy session, my pastor paid for it. He was like, Erica, he was like, you need some additional help. He made me appointment. I was sitting up there in the lobby. I'll never forget it. He walked in. He told the receptionist, he said, give her as many sessions as she need and bill it to me.
I think that's powerful too, that when somebody, because like you said, a lot of times in certain, religious environments, going to get help outside the church is, you shouldn't do that. Don't tell your business, and that kind of thing. And I totally believe, that's why I became a coach, because I know that there's people out there like you are helping couples. There's people out there, especially women who I work with, that they're not doing anything for themselves. They feel like, oh, I'm married, or I'm in a relationship, or I'm single and I work this job. I've got to do this high-end job, whatever that is they're responsible for. They feel like they have to, if they don't do it right, then everything's going to fall. They look like a failure and they do nothing for themselves. Like that cape they don't put on first. And I'm really big about put your cape on first, because, people call it filling your cup, but whatever you want to call it, you need to take care of yourself. And if you can't, if you are not able to do so, or you feel overwhelmed, getting help is okay. I love watching my women thrive. I love watching my women learn to communicate with their spouse, their jobs, their relationships, to say, listen, I need to do this for me because I'm feeling like I'm falling into an ocean and I can't get up. And if I don't do this, I can't be 100% in for my responsibilities, for my family, for my friends, whatever that is. And getting help is, I feel like we've come into an age now since COVID, and I feel like mental health is becoming so much more, prevalent and understood. And then it's not a taboo and a bad thing, that I feel like we're talking more about it. I just don't feel like we have enough resources for those who need it and or can't afford it, I feel like we need to do something about that. But like you were saying, like getting help is okay. And those that are listening, I want them to understand that if any of this is resonating with you and you feel like you need help in your marriage, in your personal life, whatever that is, first go to who you're confident is. And if you don't have that, reach out. You can reach out to somebody and get help, because it's really important to thrive in our life. That's what we're meant to do. We're meant to achieve the things that are waiting for you to achieve. But if you feel like you can't do it on your own, it's okay to get help. It's not a taboo. And I'm sure, Erica, you see that too when you come in. People are like, well, I don't really want to be here, right?
Mm-hmm. And I know another little session that I created is called Wife Support. It's a space where we come together as wives. It's not a venting session, but it's where, we come and I will create topics for us to talk about. Because like you say, we put on that cape. We got so much on our plate, and that if we just feel sometimes if we don't complete it, that we're a failure. No, we're not failures. Because first of all, self-help and self-love is important. And if you don't take care of yourself, then you're not going to be able to take care of your household, your husband, your family, those that are around, anybody that's connected to you. You won't be able to go to work and do a good job. So wife support was there so that we can come together and we can come and we can encourage and uplift each other. We all have different professions. It might be someone in the group that is in a professional state where they can be able to offer resources to that wife. A lot of times it's not even about getting paid, but it's about to making sure that my sister, that her state of mind is in a place where she can feel that peace and that joy to where she can be her best self. We need to be our best selves so that we can help create kingdom families.
It's so true. And, having community, I love that you have the wife club. I think that's so important to be able to come in. And like you said, you're not venting. You're just going, okay, I'm not alone. Number one. Number two, these are the things that we can work through. Oh, let's talk about this. Yeah, I didn't know about that subject, and I didn't know, oh yeah, I'm struggling with here, and be able to share. I think it's so important that, we have communities that whether you're a male or a female, that you have that community of support or somebody you can talk to. And that's just like you have the wives club. That's why I started the Shiro League, because I found that, I started in COVID. It started with COVID, where I was seeing women who were, professionals that were also to become teachers. And then they were trying to run their house. And then they were going, I don't know that I like living with who I'm living with or married to right now, because they were 24/7. And then it just felt like this world spinning, but worst time for Pearl. Right. And so I thought, let's just create this. Let's just do something. And this little something that I just started doing just to say, hey, let's hang out together and, get to know one another, and let's work on some self-care stuff, has grown into the Shiro League, where we really come together still to this day, almost 3 years now, every Sunday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're not recorded, so it's a safe space on Zoom. And we show up in our PJs, makeup or no makeup, whatever you want to do. And it's just about supporting each other in joy and challenges. We have guest speakers that come in to talk about different things like gratitude, smiling from the inside out, just really great subjects. And then we have meditation once a month with my good friend Sharon. And so it's really powerful to have that circle and that community, and to find that one that serves you, because, I've recently backed out of some community of women that's like, that doesn't serve me. It's cliquey, and I don't want to be cliquey. I did that in high school. I'm not doing that. So, finding your community. I just love that you do. You still do the wives club?
Well, I'm going to start back in January. I was like, trying to find my niche, but so many women was reaching out. It was like, this was beneficial. We needed this safe space, because it's a safe space where, we have rules, guidelines. If anything that we discuss is heard outside of this meeting, they could be held liable for that, because this is a safe space for us to come and to say, we can pull our wigs off and we can have a conversation.
I love it. Pull our wigs off and let's talk. I love that. So I just love what you're doing for families and what you're doing for couples. I think it's so powerful. And I want to do a little shift, because, we're also talking today on the Self-Care Shiro Network. And I love to talk about self-care, especially when we're talking about that. And so what? Okay, you have six boys, right?
Hmm.
So
Uh-huh.
and you have one daughter.
Yeah,
So okay, so tell us, like, is the daughter the oldest or youngest?
the youngest.
Oh, Lord help her. So I bet like dating for her, not only a dad, but she had these six brothers going, let me check it out for you, right?
Yeah, I felt so sorry for her the very first time she bought a young man home. She's 18. She's a freshman. She go to Georgia State University. So last year she bought a young man home. First she came, she said, Mom, because even my sons, everybody know if you're gonna date anybody, they gotta meet daddy now. Because it's just not about you, it's about our family. So you want to have two families that are going to coincide. So we want to make sure that we fit together and then to set boundaries, as far as dating, relationships, and all of that. So she was like, Mom, I got somebody I want you and dad to meet. So I was like, okay, I'm cool with it. She told her dad. The day that that young man came over, all of my sons was here. And I felt so sorry for him. He was so afraid when he came in. And so I was sitting back and I was laughing. So the boys gonna take him outside and kind of talk him up. And he came in. He was like, nice to meet you, Mrs. Roberts. He said, but do you mind if I go home? I was like, well, what's the matter, baby? He was like, I'm just a little nervous. But and it was so funny because I was like, why did y'all scare him up like that? He is such a nice young man, such a nice young man. But I was like, y'all gotta give her a break. Loosen the rope a little bit.
Okay, wait, I have to ask, did he come back?
He did.
Oh, good.
He did. He did. He
Poor
did. And now
guy. I could
they're
just
not even dating, and we can't even get rid of him.
How does she feel about that?
She at first she was like, Mama, they doing too much. Daddy, y'all doing too much. I was like, baby, this is gonna be the rest of your life. The rest of your life.
But that's so cool. That's so awesome that she has that. I used to, so I have two boys, right? So okay, I'm gonna share the story and you have to share how you handle this. So, part of my being a mom and taking care of myself was like I want to make sure my kids are safe and like you want to make sure they're the right partner and all that. And so my oldest son, if he brought home a girl that he knew that I liked, he would be like, "Oh, she's got to go. My mama likes her," right? And he's like, "No, you know how that is, my friends, So if he brought home a girl that I didn't care for, that I knew wasn't the right fit for him, I would be like, "Oh, honey, it's so good to meet you. Come sit down. Let's talk. Tell me all about you." And he'd be like, "Yeah." And I also am like, "Well, where'd she go?" He's like, "Oh, it just didn't work out." And then if it was a girl that I really liked, I would be like, just kind of ignore it. Hey, it's good to meet you, and try to be warm to her somewhat, but not too warm. And he passed in July, and he met an amazing girl before he passed. The last year and a half of his life, he's been dating Brittany, and she's become family to us now. And she's got a little girl, so But my youngest one, he didn't really start dating till college. And now he's been with him and his girlfriend are together for I think it's almost 3 years now. So, and I love her to death too. She's a sweetheart, great family. So, I'm very blessed in that way. But I can imagine being a mom of six boys and all these girls coming through my house.
I do the same thing. Because like you say, if we show that we really, really like them, it don't last long. But then them ones, now it has been some to come through. And I was like, Lord Jesus, help me. But the more what I've learned is when you try to tell them that she's not the right one, that be the one that they try to cling to. So sometimes it's hard as a parent, but you have to just step back and rely on what you've taught them. And that goes back to kingdom family, because if they see the example in the household, like growing up, I've never seen my mom in a steady, healthy relationship. So I made sure that when I had my own children, and that was another thing that I told God, that I wanted to make sure that the only man that my children ever seen me with is their father. A lot of people, they be like, how many baby daddies you got? They'd be so bold to ask me. And I'd be like, one, my husband. And that's different. That's strange. But I'm like, is it? Because that's not the way that God intended it. So therefore it goes back to, if they see me respecting their father, if they see me talking to him. And a lot of times when we have disagreements, we try not to have it in front of the children. We try to have it in our bedroom. Because I remember one time my daughter or my son, one of them said, "You and daddy was just fussing, now y'all laughing and playing." But see, I want you to know that, it's not that serious to where we got to split up and break up our family unit. So I've noticed with my boys, most of them, but pretty much all of them, they only had like one true girl that they've been with long term. Because I'm like, somebody need to get married because I'm ready to wear my mother or the bride hat, groom hat. I got a hat that I'm ready to wear.
I love
But
that.
yeah, I got a hat and a dress that I'm ready. But they see how their dad and I serve each other. It's just not me serving dad, but dad also serves mom. And it's kind of funny sometimes if we're going together, some of the boys here, because my husband opens the door for me. So if they open the door, he's mad. But they saw their dad doing that. And he does the same for our daughter. He opens the door for her. He washes her car. The same way he served and loved me, he does that for her. So the gentleman, whomever that she chooses to marry or be in relationship with, he got to have some attributes of my dad and my brothers, because her brothers treat her the same way. She don't have to want for nothing. I asked her the other night, I said, "Sequoia, why don't you have a boyfriend?" She said, "Mama, because most of them just look at my body and want to sleep with me. And that's not what I want to do." I was like, "Thank you, Jesus."
I love that. That is so powerful and that's because what you guys have set for the example, your sons, you guys have given her the example. This is how women should be treated, right? And not that it's not about my body. It's about who I am as a person, the respect and treating me like, the queen that I'm supposed to be treated as. And I love that. And I think it's so powerful. What a great example. So, okay, your daughter's 18. Tell us how old the boys are.
Let's see. Darius is 28. Malik just turned 27. Quashan turned 26. Jordan is 24. No, 23. Caleb is 19. He'll be 20 next month. And Koya is 18. Now, my husband can roll it out. I got to think about it.
Okay, wait a minute. So I'm sitting here thinking in my head going, so close together. Yeah. How many years were you pregnant in a row?
6. I have a bonus son, so I say that's my son.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, my oldest and my bonus. Because actually, when I met my husband, he was in a long-term relationship of 8 years. Then I came along, and he decided that he was going to go on a different route, and we ended up getting married.
That's amazing. Everybody's story is so cool. And so I love that the boys, like, that's just so, are they all living near you? Are they spread apart?
Yeah, a couple of moved to Atlanta, but they're back home. I mean, they wanted to be close to family. And that's how I want, because I'm not close to my family like that. So I made sure and I told them, you can have a friend, but there's nothing like your brother or your sister. So I wanted them to be close. And thank God that they are close, because I didn't have that.
It's so true. I mean, it's good. And my husband, he's had a lot of loss in his life. He lost his biological dad the day before he was born. And then his stepdad raised him and, treated him like a son. That was his dad. And, he lost his biological brother at 12 years old from a bleeding ulcer. So my mother-in-law had a lot of loss as well. Mm-hmm. And he's got my sister-in-law, Amy, is here. So it's just him and his sister now. And then we lost our son, Matthew, in July. So I watch him be so strong. But the whole thing was like, we told our boys early on, you two are all you have. Mm-hmm. So, you're not going to have, this is who you have. And I'm glad he had that conversation. And like last year we had a really good Christmas where he talked to the boys about, we always helped you buy the gifts. You guys are old enough now to buy gifts for each other. And last year they did that. I'm glad they had that as well. And so, yeah, it's so powerful that it's great, good that they understand that's who they have. At the end of the day, we have us and God, right? And then it's our family. And that's so powerful. And I love when moms like you share that with our kids, because they need to understand they just have each other. It's just so powerful.
Even one of my friends, like, I'm still old school. I fix my husband plate, take it to him, or I sit it on the dish. And I was listening it was one holiday, one of my sons, he told his girlfriend, he was like, "See how my mama do it? My mama fix my daddy plate. My mama do this and do all that." And I'm sitting back and I'm looking and I'm like, He's looking for somebody to be like his mama. Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool. You are a great example, Mama. So let's talk about growing up, six boys, a daughter. Like, where does Coach Erica get time for self-care for herself? I mean, great mom, great wife, but Coach Erica knows she has to do something for herself too. So how did you do that with all raising amazing children?
Um, while they were small, and I can truly say, I can give my husband credit. He is a great support. He always made sure, Erica, take time for yourself. Whatever I wanted to do, whatever. He was like my biggest cheerleader. Even when I stopped working for a period of time, and Lord knows we couldn't afford it. But from day one, since I've met him, he's been a hard worker. He has always worked two jobs and sometimes two full-time jobs. And now, even now, he's working two jobs and we don't have all the children in the household. But having a spouse that make it easy for you to be a spouse and to parent to where he knows if I get in my car and I need a few minutes, sometimes I don't care if I have to go. I call it running away. I would go and sit in Dollar General parking lot and sometimes just sit and meditate. I get up at 5 a.m. and I pray. And sometimes it don't be a long drawn out prayer. Be like, good morning, God. Good morning, Jesus. Good morning, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Lord, for waking me up. Sometimes that's all I have time for. But he allows me to have my me time. I don't have a whole bunch of friends that I hang around. Matter of fact, I don't even have friends I can count on one hand that I go out and spend time with. But I go out. I don't like to eat alone. So I might go through the drive-through, pick up something. And for me, I meditate. I meditate a lot because I have to be in position to where part of my purpose is I have to hear God's voice. And I used to feel as though, God, why am I so isolated? Why am I so separated? Why do I feel like I'm so alone? But when I got to the place to know that I'm never alone, and that's a part of my calling because I have to be in position to where when God tells me to speak to my friend or to my sister, it can't be that, but first of all, I know Erica just talking, because she ain't in a relationship with the Lord, but they know that I spend time with God. I go shopping. May not be going out to spend no money, but I meditate and shopping, just looking. And every time that I do go out, I think I'm gonna be alone. It's somebody that I have to minister to, whether it's like just telling them because it was a point in my life to where I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel like, I didn't have the family support. My mother and I don't have the best of a relationship, but I felt as though it was five of us growing up. And I used to call myself the black sheep of the family until one day somebody told me, don't label yourself like that. Why are you labeling yourself the black sheep? And I was like, because I don't feel love and I don't have this and I don't have that. And he was like, have you not looked at the family that God gave you? Have you not realized that you're healthy and that you're in your right mind? And I'm looking like it's the little things that sometimes we forget that we have. And that emptiness that I had, I replaced that joy with stress, with depression. But then when I started to look around and to look how blessed I truly am, I'm like, okay, that void that I was trying to fill was a place that God needed to fill.
I love you shared so much there. I love that you said I have to, that you have a supporting husband. Let's start there. I'm very blessed, and not everybody has that, right? Not everybody has a supporting husband, and if you're single, not even that support maybe at home, right? And so then recognizing that I need to, if I can't get my safe space or my time for myself at home, where can I go put my cape on, right? Whether it's just going and sitting in a dollar parking lot. I love that you were doing that and you were meditating. That's, hey, it doesn't matter where you're meditating, you're doing something for yourself, right? I think that's so powerful. And then I love that somebody said, don't label yourself. We put labels on ourselves often. And, no, you're not a black sheep of the family. You have a loving family around you. You grew up, and many of us grow up in situations that are not that were not the best healthy for us, but we learn from them. And like we start at the beginning of the show, God already had a plan that you were going to go, and oftentimes people sit back and go, well, why would he put us through that? And I've had people go, why would he take your son away? Or, and it's like, I don't have the answers. Those are not my answers to know. I just have to trust. And yeah, it sucks not having my son here and the not understanding. And I take comfort in knowing that he's at peace because he did have some struggles in his life. I take comfort in knowing that he's with family that's already gone before him and they're preparing for him to arrive. And the biggest comfort is knowing that he's sitting with God and that God's had a plan and that, and I feel him all around me. Right. But to not label ourselves and to not question and to take that time. And so if you're listening, like Coach Erica said, even if it's just going to the park, walk up to the park and sit on a swing, right? It's something you're doing for yourself. And I jokingly say, but I'm very sincere. I often say, self-care is not just taking a bubble bath. And I believe it is more than taking a bubble bath. But if that's all you can do, do it. If that's all you can do it. And it can even be as simple as like I do every morning. I get up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I say, I am beautifully and wonderfully made. Everything that is coming my way today, good, bad, or indifferent, there's a lesson to be learned. I receive it. So something like that, an affirmation, or even I've shared this before on the show here. I love Megan Trainor's coach or therapist. She said to her, she was struggling after having her child. She had had her child's C-section. And the therapist said, I want you to stand in front of that mirror naked and find something beautiful about yourself. And she's like, are you kidding me? I can't find nothing. She said it took her about a week and a half, 10 days. And she could step back and go, oh, I love where that curve's at. Oh, I love how that looks on me, So it's just starting simple, small, even if it's just 5 minutes. Like if you're struggling for your self-care and you're listening today, just take 5 minutes. Read something, draw, write in a journal, just sit in quietness. Journaling has been a great thing for me because I feel like journaling lets us release a lot of stuff that's sitting in our head and it's in the front of our head and we're not releasing from the file cabinet, right? We can't get deep to our file cabinet until we get the negative stuff out of the front of our forehead.
Yes. Journaling is something that I would encourage everyone to do. That even a lot of times, those are my gift to women, to young women, especially teenagers. I would give out a journal. I go and just buy journals because it's nothing like getting your thoughts out. Because as long as you continue to hold those thoughts in, it can become dangerous. That depression would sink in. But once you write it down, and I tell people all the time, sometimes if you're not feeling good, write yourself a letter, write it, tear it up, burn it up or whatever, and release it.
I love the letter, and the letter is really important. Not only like the example you gave, but even in relationships, if there's a relationship, I remember years ago, I wrote a letter to my mom. I never mailed it to her. I wrote a letter to her about some frustrations I had at the time. And, and it was it was a release of all that stuff I was holding inside, and it was holding me back from moving forward. So it's, it's really powerful. So tell us what you have upcoming, for your coaching and any programs you have upcoming. I know you and I are speaking on January 7th for the Kingdom Connections, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So tell us what else you have coming up.
January 24th, I think, on my birthday. I think that's my tentative date right now. We will begin wife support again. Also in April, I will be releasing something for the teenagers. I'm working on the title from ages 13 to 18. It's a self-love, self-care program. It's going to have like seminars. It's going to be to where they would know how to, starting from the teenage years up to college, how to pretty much survive in this genre right now, because it's kind of hard for teenagers. We're gonna teach them some affirmations. We're gonna teach them how to pray for themselves, teach them how to be accountability partners. We got that. And then in August, we're gonna have a couples, we're trying to plan a couples conference for couples, kind of like a weekend thing to where we can come together, have a little fun as couples. Life is busy as it is, and a lot of times couples don't take out time to actually first of all, every year you need to get to know yourself because you grow. I'm not the same girl my husband met over 30 years ago, and doing different transitions, different years, different stages. I don't care. It's from year 1, year 3, year 5, year 10, you're growing. So you just need to know how to navigate through those years. Um, so far, that's about it right now.
That's awesome. And then where can everybody find you, Coach Erica? I know we'll also post all your links, but where else can
Yes,
everybody find you?
I'm on Instagram, Erica Roberts, His Image Coaching, Facebook, Erica Roberts, also His Image Coaching, and also I have a Facebook page titled When Women Pray, because it's nothing like when we get together and pray and intercede for each other. You know, the mountain is not going to move, but when you learn how to speak to that mountain, then things will begin to change and shift for your family. And oh my God, Instagram, Facebook. Also, oh, I'm on the coaches page. It's called the couch, the conversation, the coaches. We every first Monday of the month we have a live on there. We would love for you to join us on there. The coaches, it's got something that's coming up real special, but every first Monday you will see me on the coaches. I am the host.
That's awesome. I'll have to learn more about the coaches thing that you're talking about. I love that you were on with us today. And so, you know, I just feel like everybody that was listening today, if you feel like you're struggling in your marriage or you are starting a new relationship and you just want some guidance in that, you know, reach out to Coach Erica because she's just amazing. She's got a big heart and spirit to help you grow in that. And I loved having you on today. It's been a blast. And so now everybody, yay! Everybody knows that at the end of the show, we do these Better Question, Better Life cards. And if you're listening, I know people have asked me, where do I get the cards? You go to betterquestionsbetterlife.com and you can grab the cards. I get no kickback. It's just my friends did these cards and I love them. And so I meditate. There's over 70 cards in here and I meditate on these cards or I'll do journaling on the cards, or sometimes I'll pick a card and I'll keep it in my car with me when I'm driving around. So Coach Erica's going to tell me when to stop shuffling and we're going to read her card. So here we go, Coach Erica. Tell me when to stop.
Okay, stop.
All right. So her question today is, how can I sharpen my focus? How can you sharpen your focus, Coach Erica?
By reading. Read every day. Read something. A lot of people think it has to be the Bible. No, you can read any self-help book it is. Read an affirmation. You can get an affirmation, read it daily. Reading and prayer. Prayer will sharpen everything. Like you said earlier, everything we need, God has already provided. Prayer is relationship. Prayer, reading, coincide, it will sharpen.
And I love that. Okay, so prayer and reading. I love reading great books. And I just found a new journal that we're trying out in our Shiro community. I'm excited to see how we all do with it. It's a 6-week journal. I'm focusing on one thing. So I'm so excited for that. So thanks again, Coach Erica, for being here. And I loved having you. And I want to remind everybody that the Shiro League, we meet every Sunday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. It's totally free to come for a one-time visit and check us out. Come see these amazing ladies. And you might be inspired to put your cape on a little bit tighter as you find time for your self-care without guilt. And if you want to know how you're doing on your self-care, I would love to encourage you to go take a test at pearlssurvey.com. That's Pearl, Pearls, survey.com, and see how your score is. So with that said, I want to remind everybody that at the end of our day, we all have to remember that we come into this world as this oyster on the outside. We're a little rough, the shell's a little rough on the outside, but inside we all have our own inner pearl. And I hope you go out today and you find your inner pearl of greatness. Have a great day. Hey, this is Pearl, and I am coming on today because you've been listening to me for a little while, but I wanted to really explain to you what a Shiro is. You hear me talk about on the radio show and the podcast often about what is a Shiro. And what I want you to know is a Shiro is you. You are listening today and you are a Shiro. But what do I mean you're a Shiro? So a Shiro is somebody who is strong. You have so much strength, and maybe you don't know it. Maybe you're not seeing it inside yourself, and you need help tapping into that. And that's what I love to help women do, is to find your strength within and help you pour it out of yourself, help you become the strong person you are. And H stands for happy. We all want to be happy, but sometimes finding the roadmap to happiness isn't easy. And so sometimes we have to help make that deep dive into answering heartful, soulful questions about, what does it really mean to be happy? What brings me joy? What do I need to say no to so that I can become the person I want to be and the strong person I want to be that's also happy? And then empowered. You are empowered just by listening to this podcast that we do, or the radio show, to be the person that you are meant to be. That person inside, that little girl that's inside, just waiting to come out. We want to empower you through our Shiro method to become that strong, happy, empowered person that you are. But it's not an easy step. So, we have to cut through the fluff and the excuses and the drama and the mess so that we can make that progress. Because as we start making the progress, then what happens is you start seeing the radiant you. You start arriving at the level that you've created, that divine roadmap, where you're finally starting to live intentionally. And as you live intentionally, then you realize your strength really is powerful, that your happiness is meaningful, and that you are empowered to pay it forward to others, to do the things you want to do without guilt, because you deserve it and because your radiance is showing. And then as you work through that progress, then what happens is you become your original self. You become that authentic you that you're supposed to be. Like, you've done that deep, soulful work, and you're starting to make that path of satisfaction and that happiness you've been craving. And so you start laying down the foundation of your success. When you wake up in the morning, you find yourself looking in the mirror, realizing that you don't recognize your old self anymore, that you see yourself reflected everywhere in your stride, your relationships, your career, and even your hobbies. So as you align your outward trajectory with that inward path, you start gaining that clarity and that confidence and courage to focus and follow your internal direction. So really, that's what a Shiro is. And it's not easy to get there, right? We need to learn the steps to become that true Shiro, to tap into those superpowers that you have within. And that's why we have what's called our Shiro League. And if you want to join a community of women that are working on exactly these things that we're talking about, that are becoming strong, that are happy, that are empowered, that are radiant and original, that want to tap into things that bring them joy and say no to the things that don't let them enjoy the things that they want to do. We meet every Sunday evening from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time on Zoom. No makeup. If you want makeup, you can, but just come in to be your radiant self, to be that original person you are. Because really, as you look at your biggest sources of stress, we want to help you with our Shiro League and our Shiro method to help you listen to that internal compass so you can start decluttering your distractions and really identify what's really missing in your life. Like, what brings you joy, and we're not talking foo-foo feeling stuff, like really what fills your cup? What makes you so happy to put your cape on first? And as we do that and you become that Shiro you're meant to be, then what happens is you are radiant. You have created an opportunity to release what you need to say no to so that you can start fulfilling your purpose. So you can start stepping out of your comfort zone and really into what brings your joy. And our Shiro method roadmap is that crucial step of helping you to live the life you want to be that Shiro you want to be, to tap into what it is you deserve to do, what it is you've been desiring to do. And listen, if you're a mom and you've got kids and you're a working mom outside the house, you're not all about the mom title. You are Pearl. You are Sue. You are Jacqueline. You are Stella. You are somebody that matters and somebody that has goals and visions, that deserves to create that divine roadmap so that you finally begin and, like I said, live your life intentionally. So if you're ready to do that and you want some help with that, I would love to invite you to a free call with me. Just let's talk about where you're at, how you get to where you want to go. What are your goals? What brings you joy? What do you need to say no to? And I would love to help you peel back those layers so that you can arrive at the real answers, so that we can cut away the fluff and the excuses and the drama and help you make that real progress. Because we're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised the next 30 seconds. And if you are here and you're listening, then you know that we are about putting ourselves first. We're about putting that cape on first. We're about finding your true, authentic self and learning how to overcome people pleasing and start tapping into your superpowers. Because as you tap into your superpowers, you then can take care of those you love, the things you love to do, even better than what you're doing today. Because when you put yourself first, you can become the Shiro that you're meant to be, and your superpowers will help even take care of your family and your loved ones to a much bigger success than you're already doing. So if you're ready to tap into your superpowers and ready to find out how to become your true Shiro, I want you to email me, Shiro at pearl@wsliving.com. That's Shiro at pearl@wsliving.com. And I would love to help you become the Shiro of your life.